Chakras, and welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson 6, Day 3, which is a little Venn diagram where we are going to compare and contrast solving equations versus solving inequalities. Now, since we've already looked at both, you probably have some good ideas about what's going to be the same and what's going to be different for each of these two things. I'd like you to kind of think about that before you play the rest of these notes. So before I start filling things in, I want you to pause. I want you to think about what are the things that are exactly the same about solving equations and solving inequalities, and what are the things that are going to be different? What are some of the things you have to think about a little bit further? So this is a place where I know usually a little further in we're doing this, but this is a place where I want you to pause and think about that before you begin the rest of the video and I start writing in for your notes. Okay? Pause. Hopefully you've paused. Then I can get started, right? So I'm going to do, you know, blue and red make purple. What stuff is the same in purple in the middle column? And I'm going to start with when you're solving equations and you're solving inequalities, you are looking to get your variable alone. That is the first main piece that both of these have in common. You are looking to have your variable alone. The difference is for equations, you're going to have equal signs. For inequalities, you're going to have less than or a greater than or a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to. So that's one of the main differences here. But on each side of one of those signs, you are looking to get your variable alone and your number alone. What is the real number that satisfies this sentence? Okay. For equations, you're going to get a single answer. So when you solve an equation for your variable, solve your linear equations, you get one single answer. But when it comes to an inequalities, your answer is a solution set. There could be infinite number of numbers that make an inequality true. So once you're getting that, you typically want to represent it on a number line, right? So I'm going to go back a sec before I start talking too much about number lines, and I'm going to say something else that's the same again. What's the same about solving equations and solving inequalities? You use properties of real numbers with your equality properties. Use properties of real numbers with your equality properties. And that's what you're doing to getting your variable alone, right? On the inequality side only, what do you need to be thinking about when you multiply and divide both sides by a negative number? Your inequality sign flips. So your inequality sign flips when you multiply or divide by a negative number. And that is something that is exclusive to the inequality side. I don't even need to say anything about that with the equation side because that is not something we ever worry about. Okay. Now, You can represent your answers on a number line for either equations or inequalities. And that is something we'll kind of look at tonight on our homework. Okay, so answers can be represented, oops, on a number line. All right, but the difference is the way that you represent those answers on a number line. So here, again, like we said, there'll be a single answer, right? So on this number line, there will be a single answer and it will always be a closed dot over that one single answer, and that's it. But for inequalities, you have tons of options. Okay. So on your number line, you'll have tons of options, right? There could be an open circle. Your arrow could go right, your arrow could go left. You could have a closed dot with your arrow going right. You could have a closed dot with your arrow going left. So this all depends on the inequality symbol. So your solution set is represented on a number line dependent on what was the symbol that got me there in the first place. Okay, the open circle symbols are the open symbols, the symbols that do not have an equal to part. The closed dot symbols are the symbols that have the extra piece, just like you filled in the dot here. The extra piece would be the inequality, having an equal sign underneath. Okay, and that's the extra piece. All right, and that is it for what you need to get ready for doing your homework. Now, I do want to take a peek real quick at what it looks like. I guess I don't have it there. I don't see it here either. Okay. Hold on, guys. Okay, well, I'll cut this. So I want you to, when you're doing your homework, to have all of your answers on the provided number line. But the difference will be when you have an equation that you're solving. Sorry. Okay. So I do want you to, when you are doing your homework, I want every answer to be represented on the number line below the homework question, equations or inequalities. But equations obviously will only be a dot over that value that satisfies the equation, while inequalities will be represented by your solution set. Okay, and so that is going to be, you're going to be putting into practice the differences between equations and inequalities. But as you're going through, you already know you're going to be using the properties of real numbers in conjunction with the properties of equality to get that variable alone. Don't forget, when you're solving inequalities, I always represent my answers with my variable on the left-hand side, and it just makes it easier for me personally to put my solution set on my number line. Okay? So you'll see that when you see my answer key as well. Good luck. Come to office hours if you need me, and I shall be seeing you, algebras. Bye.